to interpret my video in French to English. I wanted to, so if I do have a little hesitations because I'm interpreting straight from my French text, I wish you to understand that I'm doing my best, and if I'm not speaking quick enough, please select the settings area so that my flow of talking will be more easy to follow for you. Greetings. I wanted to bring to your attention, speaking about my channel, I want to make an overview of my channel, and I want to bring to your attention that I do not only make the systematic study of the narcissists, the covert narcissists. I am also I am an expert at this level. I have been made an expert, I would say. I have not only several videos in English and French about the most dangerous narcissists, which are the covert ones. And by the way, I just want to make a quick mention. You know, when people are talking about different aspects of narcissism and different aspects of covert narcissists, you know, I don't want to repeat. When the work is already done, even though I do understand it very well, I don't like to, when the work is already done, sometimes people do repeat the work in a different way, according to their personality, okay? But I do not see the point of doing that because the work is already done. So I don't have, it's not extensive what I have, because I consider that we are a community, and that if somebody is talking about the topic in the aspect of narcissism or covert narcissism in a very detailed and very interesting way, I'm just adding it to the playlist that I have, which I have many of them. And I'm not making videos about that because I don't see a point doing that. It's already done. The work is already done. I prefer to refer you to those videos and playlists. This being said, by saying that the covert narcissists, of course, are the most dangerous ones, and this is my focus and my expertise because of my experience, rich experience on this continent. I also study the narcissistic society, and speaking of which, the beginning of the colonization in America, which was done by narcissists, of course, it was done by secret societies, which were hiding behind the Christian religions with an S, starting which, I guess, Roman Catholicism, but it didn't stop there. For example, I have a playlist on the Iroquois. I also speak of, yes, I do speak about the reptilian overlords, because I'm sorry to say, but it is so very true that in my friend Zen Garcia and also Joseph Farrell really did cover this very important aspect of the fact that they are not like us. They are of a different breed. So I've studied the Bible a lot, and why I particularly like those two individuals is because they went beyond the biblical texts. And I was telling you the first one is in Garcia. The second one is covered by the Bite Show. I really like once in a while hearing Joseph Farrell. I really much appreciate his approach also. And I do have 11 playlists of how covert narcissists are very dangerous, and this cannot be it cannot be overemphasized nor overstated based on my experience. And since dealing with them is causing adrenal fatigue, I have playlists and videos about adrenal fatigue, as well as a channel that I created because it was buried under my many videos. So I decided to make a channel so that it is more easy to find the information on YouTube. Also, I study the Illuminati, and I really appreciate a lot the testimony of Ronald, I believe. Let me see. Ronald Bernhard. An important testimony is he was a banker, and also he has important testimony that was made concerning the Illuminati in English and different languages, and I incorporated them to my channel as well. Also, I'm covering the 9/11, which was an inside job, and for those who did study the topic, and if you're not convinced about that, I have a playlist made by the architects and engineers for 9/11, and they are in many, also those videos are in many languages, and I do incorporate them as well. Sorry if I have a problem to pronounce very well today. I do have a toothache. That's why I have a little hard time to pronounce well. Sorry about that. Also cover the fact that the native people were the first targeted individuals on this continent, American continent. I have playlists and videos on this topic. So I do not only study covert narcissism and covert narcissists, I really got to the level of expertise. I really did reach the level of expertise on this topic, but also I'm covering the history of, even though we are not calling them, it's not because we are not calling, like for instance, the native aboriginals, it's not because we're not calling them, and they are not calling themselves targeted individuals. It's a new term, okay? It's a modern term and a new term, but that doesn't mean that the facts and history, that they were not targeted, The facts are there, it's just the wording is changing. And even though it is not said that members of secret societies were talking about high levels of people involved in Freemasonry, 30 up to the 32nd degree Freemasonry. I'm not, so if you know a Shriner, around the corner, don't worry about this person. We're not talking about the low-ranked Freemasons. This is at this level that I'm talking about. Okay? So that you know. I don't want you to worry about the low levels of Freemasonry. They don't know what they are doing there, and they learn it the hard way once they reach the top of the pyramid. So I do not only study of history, which is not the story that we have been told, but also the social aspect, and I don't pretend to be a historian. I'm just pinpointing different important facts of history, that's all. And also, I live on this continent, so I only lived on this continent, so I cannot talk about the other continents for now. So that's why I'm concentrating on this continent, which I do very well know. And I have been made aware of very well as well. I also talk about the King of England, who was particularly covert narcissist, which was Henry VIII, and that is why I created a channel dedicated to one of his wives, Anne Boleyn, in order to put the emphasis on her story, on this particular state of particular situation, to say the least. She was falsely accused, and she lost her head over this. And also I'm covering the topic of religious narcissists, and their preferred chord of the religious narcissist is to say that God told me this and God told me that, as if they had a meeting with him in the morning. On this continent, the God who is running the show is the God of secret societies and Freemasonry and so on. And I'm speaking about this in my video titled "In Support of Zen Garcia." Even children can understand this. So you can refer to this video. I will simply refer to it because I already made my position and already talked about this very clearly in this video. And also I'm speaking about circumcision, because circumcision is child abuse, and this is happening especially in the United States. And I want to remind you that I already said, and I want to reiterate, that the Native nations and Aboriginals were the first targeted nations on this continent. Nevertheless, I'm not speaking only about the Native and Aboriginal, but also I'm talking about white populations who were targets as well. For example, a very easy example to study is the second degree a genocide of the Irish people. So, in other words, I do know, understand that there are, you know, England. England is, you know, the presidents of the United States. Most of them they were kin of royalty of England on one hand, and on the other hand, in Canada, we always had prime ministers who are under the Queen of England. So, in other words, the white people who are really favored are the elite, the white elite, and those who are kin of royalty in England. And royalty in England, there are certain populations, even white, that they don't like. So I'm including them as well. And the Irish is a very good example of this, because at the time, the Queen, and I refer you to the playlist, the Queen created this second-degree genocide. It really was, according even to historians who really did study the history, not the average historian, but real historians. This is a bilingual channel, and I do the best I can to cover the best I can in both languages, but it's not really possible because I'm by myself. You know, I don't have a team working for me. So, also, I'm speaking about transubstantiation. It's a very important topic. Even the people who don't know this word, it's coming from the Roman Catholic Mass, and you know, the Jesus cookie. I like speaking in images. The Jesus cookie, you know, this is supposedly the Jesus cookie turns into the blood of Christ, etc., and that the priest is doing a abracadabra operation, and it turns into the blood of Jesus. So I'm making an image, sort of a funny image about this, but so that it is easy for you to refer to what is the transubstantiation. So I'm connecting transubstantiation with Freemasonry, secret societies, and the many Christian religions with an S. Not to forget the Muslim and the Jewish religion, because they have all in common the Abrahamic God. So again, I know I'm very aware that my pronunciation today is not that great. My apologies about that. And behind this part, I will say it like this, particular God that I spoke about, we have the Freemasons and the secret societies that are connected via the transubstantiation. And it is very important to know, by the way, because this connection, it's very important to know, because the blood sacrifice is a very common theme in secret societies and Freemasons, and of course Roman Catholicism. And when I spoke about the circumcision of the child, of course it's not a complete sacrifice of the child, but this very little child suffered extremely extraordinary trauma, which of course causes post-traumatic stress disorder. I've been trained also as a psychologist, by the way. What is the transubstantiation? Blood sacrifice is not so I'm not giving you all the information because it would be impossible. I'm not a team, and even I cannot completely cover everything in both languages, but I do the best I can. And also I bring to your attention that there were several ages of creation, because the elite control the history, the Bible, the media. According to the elite, we would be only here for 6,000 years. And they certainly do not consider the reality that we went through the Golden Age, the Silver Age, and we are and the Bronze Age. I have a particular interest in concern about the Aboriginal people, the native people, because they were here first. It's that simple. You need to consider people, you know, you are actually on their territory, even though you did not choose to be on their territory. Your ancestors did. And so, because of that, because we are on their territory, we need to consider them. And I'm making a suggestion: when you need to gas your car or your truck or your boat, why not go to, if you have a reserve near your area, why not go gas your truck, car or boat at their gas station? Because this way you're supporting them, and you need gas anyway. So if you have a reserve near your area, why not doing that? So I couldn't help to come across the Sami people, because they are themselves aboriginals, and their customs is very close to the customs of the native aboriginal peoples. And why I say native aboriginal, I am aware that native is for United States and aboriginals is for Canada. They are both native nations, but it's a different term. Don't ask me why. The elite like to separate us as much as they possibly can, and it's, I guess, one way to do it. So I made a study of the Sami people. I have a playlist about them if you're interested. Also, since we are dealing with, I thought I had the chronic fatigue, which of course I had a chronic fatigue, but I realized that it is adrenal fatigue. So most of us who are victims of those who are now thrivers, but were at that time we were victims of narcissists. We tend to have adrenal fatigue. So I identified that there are ways of helping ourselves with natural minerals, such as, and also what is helping a great deal is a DHEA, and also a very particular magnesium, which is magnesium taurate. So those two are helping me greatly, so I thought to mention it to you. If you are experiencing severe fatigue due to narcissistic abuse, I suggest you, even though I'm not a doctor and don't think I am, and I don't pretend to be, I'm just suggesting you to research and consider that you might have adrenal fatigue and that you might need DHEA and magnesium taurate. I will put a card to my channel about adrenal fatigue recovery, but there is a disclaimer, and I want you to understand that this is not medical advice. If you need medical advice, you go to your doctor. Simple as that. So as you can see, I study different aspects to the problem of narcissism and narcissistic abuse. And in spite of the fact that I like to express myself in a simple way, because I speak to a public and I love the public to understand what I'm talking about, and I'm not exactly a person who likes to blow her own trumpet, and so I don't like to use very specific and very technological words and terms, because my goal is not it's not a vocabulary contest here. It is communication, information, and sharing, because it is a real problem on this continent. Narcissists, I'll get it, narcissistic abuse. And so I've made the analysis of the American continent, the analysis of Abrahamic religion, especially Christians religions with a big S, because I really do know very well Christian religions. Of course, I'm not going to any church anymore. I don't have my place there, so I'm not going. Simple as that. And because like I said, the Abrahamic God is a big deal in the picture. I will leave it like this. I thank you for listening, and thank you for your attention, because I'm aware that I'm covering many aspects, and I thank you for your understanding, because I like to know in what situation we are in the best I possibly can. And also the synagogue of Satan, or the synagogue of Saturn, which is behind the secret societies and Freemasonry, the high-ranked Freemasons. It is important to consider that if we want to understand how the elite works, and again, they are of a different breed than us. They are dividing us in different classes and sects and race and religion and so on and so forth, and unfortunately we, the human beings, are not thinking enough to not play their game. So while we are divided, they win. So we need to understand how the elite are working, especially the elite of the American continent.
Here's what my prediction is going to be. There's going to be people in power, politicians or celebrities that are extremely popular that will experience great disgrace, humiliation, and ruin during the time that Mercury is stationing to go retrograde around the 21st of this month. And also, you're going to find that Jupiter will come across these fixed stars later in the year, but there's going to be this essence of first things moving into action, impulsiveness, and dealing particularly with accidents, dealing with impulsiveness. This will all pretty much be in effect this month because the transiting planets of Mercury and then Jupiter and Sun, all the planets, there's 4 planets that are going to be traveling in the sign of Aries. We have Rahu, we have Sun, we have the eclipse that's going to happen in Aries. As a matter of fact, it's going to be around 5 degrees of Aries, the solar eclipse on the 21st. But all these planets are transiting. We have Sun and Moon around the time of the eclipse, but Sun, Moon, Mercury, Rahu, and Jupiter, all in Aries, the stellium of planets in Aries, activating these important stars. Wait and see if these events that these stars speak of won't be the truth. And just to represent in the sign of Aries and the first part of Aries, the first 13 degrees, 20 minutes, you're going to find that it's Ashwini, which is fast action, and this is where this star particularly sits. 14 degrees of Aries sits in the nakshatra Bharani, which is major breakthroughs. Bharani is a tough nakshatra. It can deal with destruction and pain and breakthroughs and explosions, but it brings a new beginning and a new birth. And that is essentially what the sign Aries contends with, what it's all about. This new beginning, but major events and breakthroughs that bring to us a new beginning, a new start. And watch and see how these stars, which give the nakshatras their meanings, which give the signs their meanings, aren't relative in these times of transition and change.